You're listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt, where we talk about hunting, shooting, fishing, camping, and everything else that the great outdoors has to offer. Let's get into it.
All right, so it's going to be a short episode tonight because Frankie is as good with technology as he is shooting deer, and we're only half on schedule.
I forgot about all the heads that you got hanging up in your wall. I can't see them. Where are they?
What which wall? Where?
Where?
Huh?
Where are we?
Where's
you're in the toy room.
Hold on.
You're in the toy
There's
room.
nothing behind you either.
I'm talking to you from the kitchen right now. Do you
excuse
need to go back to the shed again? Seriously.
Frankie, all right, so look, it's a serious night tonight. Well, sort of serious. But the first 5 minutes is I'm going to let you chance to have a rebuttal because I've copped some flack.
Rebuttal?
Yeah, listeners have reached out and said, geez, you're harsh on him. And I was like, I don't think I am. But, hey, look, he's got 5 minutes to just address the audience. Just say whatever you would like, mate. I'm giving you the chance because – I don't think I've said that much. I think I said like you've got a lot of pressure on your shoulders and stuff like that. I mean, that's just truth. I don't get why they're upset with me. But hey, look, get it?
Who is upset? Who's ringing you is what I want to know. Who is upset you? Because everyone loves to give me a poll.
I don't want to name them. I don't think that's fair. They're coming to Croak Camp, so I don't want to hassle them before we get there. That's at the camp.
Nah. So everything we say is always in jest.
Is it?
And yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. I hope it is, Matt. I really do.
No, most definitely.
Now, everything we say is in jest. And we are very critical of each other. With everyone in our group, I suppose, too, we are very critical of them. So, yes, it's all part and parcel of being part of this, what's it called? Fraternity, I suppose is one word for it. Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, just group of bringing people back down to earth, maybe.
Humbling? True humbling? Yeah, I don't know. I really do feel that there's a curse that surrounds you, Matt, because every time we go out hunting, nothing is successful. I'm not successful. People nearly die because trees nearly fall on them. There's snow events.
Okay.
There's some sort of voodoo doll out there.
Oh, I'm the unluckiest person I know. I know this. It's not something that I'm not arguing this point.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what Chinaman you killed in the last. I don't even know if I can say that. Can I even say that?
No, I don't know. 2025, you can't say much these days.
That's true. Very true. Very true. Yeah, no, it's all in jest, mate. It's all in jest. No one needs to worry about my feelings, mate. I have large shoulders. Diamonds are formed under pressure, but I have no pressure. I'm going to go to hunt camp, have a great time. I've got so much stuff lined up, and obviously I get another chance to meet more lifelong friends. So, yeah, and it was that good last year that you're doing something very similar this year.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. As much as I stir you up, and I keep saying that I'm going to get your brother and cousin. I said I'll do whatever I have to do. If I happen to hit one in the car on the way up, I may or may not get them to drop a bullet into it in the state forest and say, "Hey, look what I got." No, I wouldn't do that.
You've got a job to do. You've got to get yourself your first buck, and then.
Stuff that. I want them to get one over you.
Oh, okay.
I've said, mate, if they're out with me, I won't even take a rifle. I'll just, I'll help.
Carry Frodo's anyway.
Nah, I don't think we'll be hunting together. To be honest, I think they'll. Your brother and Frodo will go off on their own and whatnot. They're there before me anyway. They're going to have a very short trip with us.
The thought of that is quite scary. Them two going off together in the woods. That's very scary.
Well, I mean, hey, look how it turned out at Brokeback Mountain. I mean, they were happy. So.
Well, no, I'm not talking about you and anything. I'm talking about my brother and Frodo. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, should be a good camp. You got plenty lined up. How many you got going to the camp?
Still trying to work out exact numbers, but I think we're going to be between 15 and 20. So it's
Lovely.
pretty
That's
good.
that's pretty big for
Yeah.
the first year.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not
That's
bad.
good.
So I think it's a pretty good bunch too. So I'm eager to get down there and see what the time of year brings. But hopefully we've nailed the dates. But we'll wait and see.
I've had heaps of mates have gone to those state forests recently, and they've been telling me how many deer they've been seeing. So there's heaps there. There's heaps there apparently. So there's been a pretty good year.
I think
Lots of twins around.
it's one of these ones that I think it's hit and miss, isn't it? Like one of the boys who's coming to Crow Camp went down there on the weekend and didn't see much at all.
Really?
Yeah. So I think it's just we were talking about this the other week. Is sometimes just luck of the draw. Like I think when Ash got his first one, that was a while back with the bow. Was just watching an area that came up that just popped out where they were. I had Jimmy on, I think, last episode, and he just had two monster bucks that just were there as he came across. Shot one, the other stayed. Like I think sometimes you can do all the things right, and then sometimes it's also just luck. I mean, and then even when you don't do things right, I think the last time you were out there with Frodo at Hunt Camp, that you're sitting there having a chat and a buck pops out 40 meters from you on the trail and you weren't being stealthy, you weren't sort of prepared.
No, we're just sitting there
having a
John
chat,
just laying there.
Yeah,
just having a chat and just popped up on the track.
Yep.
Can't believe it.
So I think that's
Yeah.
Talking to some people, the stories that come through it's just right time, right place. Sometimes that you can have all the skill, but if there's no deer there, there's no deer there. Or the opposite,
I think that
you can
that
not
time of
sort
the year
of know
the
what
bucks
you're
are
doing.
in focus.
It happens.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Luck has a lot to do with it, but also you got to put yourself in the spot to get
Yeah.
the luck as well.
I agree.
So
Mate, there's been a lot going on lately. There has been an enormous amount happening in the hunting world at
so
the
much.
moment.
It's so busy this time of year. So busy.
Well, you got the rut, obviously, but then you've got we've been in the media a lot from
Yeah.
Wombat Gate, as it's been referred to, where Sam Jones, I don't even think that's a last name, to be honest. I think it's something else. But I think your Instagram handle was Sam Strays somewhere. American hunter, influencer, whatever you want to call her, grabbing the little baby wombat and running back to the car and filming it and putting it up. And that was met with widespread outrage.
Is she an American, is she?
Yeah, she's not Aussie.
I did not know that. There you go.
That's why
There
they
you go. No.
cancelled her visa, sent her home. I think she left prior and then they cancelled it or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Whatever happened. It's an interesting one because I've seen a lot of different thoughts and commentary on the whole thing, and I don't know where I completely sit, to be honest. I view it from a few different angles that, hunters, we talk about being conservationists and caring for the animals, and I don't think that was done in care for the animals. I think that was done for social media and likes, which is, I guess, one of the downsides I talk about on social media.
Well, you just got to watch what you put out there, mate. Like, whatever you put out there is, the way I usually say it to everyone is if you're going to, take a photo, take a video, whatever, and put it out there, just imagine you're sending it straight to your grandma and what she would think about it, That's the way I see it.
I agree with that. And then I think you go a little bit further somehow. Like, we can consistently talk about portraying hunters in the best light possible. And then you look at it from a perspective of, is handling native animals an offence? Now, whether you agree or disagree, I'm pretty confident around Australia it is illegal. In New South Wales, I know it is. I don't know. Like, I don't see any sort of situation where that has a positive outcome. And especially the fact she grabbed it from the mother. Like, I don't know what she was trying to achieve other than probably trying to get Insta famous or whatever crap, too many people want to do these days and go viral or whatever. I don't know. That concerns me. I see people posting it knowing it's illegal and posting photos of them with the natives and going, well, that's just giving people ammunition, whether you call it soft, whether you call it people need to harden up, whatever. Like, but it's still illegal. Like, if you're trying to portray us as law-abiding firearms owners, you shouldn't be doing anything illegal. We talk about the duck hunters complaining that the activists are on the wetlands and blah, blah, blah. And I completely agree. They're doing the wrong thing. They're doing illegal activity. But you can't in one breath whinge about that and in the other breath breaks the law because you feel that that's acceptable, because that argument can be used from the other side.
Yeah, no, the law is the law, so you got to follow that to the T. Especially this day and age, you don't want to lose your firearms stuff is something so minuscule, and that's pretty much where we're at in society at the moment. Is you could lose it at the drop of a hat, just one simple video, and that's it. You just all your firearms are seized, and that's it. You're done for the next 14 years, I think it is. No more, no more shooting, and that's a price too heavy to pay in my books.
Yeah, I agree. Look, and this was the argument someone was saying, is that like if she didn't put it up on social media, no one would have known, and there wouldn't be the outrage. I agree with that. There are plenty of things that happen that aren't publicly shared that probably shouldn't be publicly shared. And I'm not condoning any sort of behaviour, but you've really got to think about what you're posting. Unfortunately, I think
agreed.
We're really in a society that wants to be famous or wants to go viral, and it doesn't even matter if it's not for the right reasons. That's an issue. I think that. I personally think social media is going to be our complete downfall, and this is very evident in the extreme backlash and outrage from the general population in Australia about it. Now, whether you like that or not, we're in a democratic country that is what the majority feel. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a very slippery, dangerous slope we are going down, where people want to post way too much on social media that really probably shouldn't be on there. It should be, if anything, send it to your close mates.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. If you're worried about putting it out there to the universe, just send it to your mates, like you would anyway. And it's just going back to that girl from the USA. She probably came in not knowing that that's actually probably a rule of ours, not to touch any native animals.
Mm.
And she's gone and grabbed it and picked it up and thought nothing of it. But in saying that, once again, adhere to the rules of where you are and what situation you are in the world, I suppose, is probably the lesson to learn from that. I don't think that she did anything. I don't think she tried to do anything, with malice intent or anything like that. But she just seen a cute little baby wombat, wanted to take a video with it. But putting it up on the social media was probably her downfall. The fact of everyone could see it, and she could have might have said that to a couple of her Aussie mates, and they would have gone straight away, mate, you're not supposed to touch them.
Well, she was with an Aussie bloke, so I think.
Well,
she has spent a lot of time here in Australia, so I don't know.
Oh, has she? I thought she was like a tourist.
No, she spent a lot of time. That's part of her handle. She's somewhere in the world. She's done a lot in New Zealand and a fair bit here in Australia. So I do think that there's. Yeah, look, I don't know the full story of how much she's travelled and where and how much she actually knew. I don't think her post actually, I don't know if you read it, but her post that the mainstream media picked up and pushed out, I don't think does us any favours as hunters, to be honest. There was a snippet in there where she's talking about exposing how hunters in the country kill wombats on a regular occurrence to manage property for grazing and a heap of things. And I'm not going word for word here, but I know I read it and went, sometimes the public not knowing is a benefit. The general population not knowing what actually happens can sometimes actually be a good thing for us hunters.
But that might be the truth of it. A landowner can go to the ranger to go and get tags to destroy native animals, and that's why the rangers are there, to go there and assess and to to give out those tags. So if it's all done by the law, then it's done by the law. Then in my eyes, and that's fine. But in the same instance, for her to bring that out, it really depends on the way you take that comment on board. And she goes, there's heaps of, when she says there's heaps of wombats that have been killed by hunters and things like that. Well, have they done them with the appropriate tags? You don't know. It just leaves open-ended questions there. So it's just whatever you're feeling at the time. I suppose what comes to mind, and that's how people think. It comes to the end of the day.
Hey there, listeners. Are you looking for that awesome hunting t-shirt or hoodie to level up your wardrobe? Well, head over to the AHB store and check out the range that we have to offer. We have a variety of different collections for you. So whether it's supporting the show, hunting, fishing, camping, drone fishing, or something else outdoors, we probably have something there that is for you. Each piece is designed so that you can look great whilst representing your outdoor passion. Whether you're down the local, hanging with friends, training for the rut, or just chilling at home, there's a design to suit. Just search Australian Hunting and Beyond Linktree and head to the store. What are you waiting for? You're just one click away from representing that outdoor passion with style. So, let's get into that new clothing.
Yeah, and look, I didn't save her post, but I remember it was something along those lines that it was exposing what is done regularly, like a gotcha. You think this is bad. What about this? This is what really occurs. Sort of, to get herself out of the drama. And look, she didn't harm the animal. Let's be real about that too. But unfortunately, whether you agree or disagree, as I said, the law is pretty black and white on it. Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be stuff you're posting. I mean, that's it's not what you should be doing. And yeah, that's just, it's one of those things. I think sometimes you really, I think you touched on and said just then, don't post things that you wouldn't be happy with, someone close to you wouldn't be happy about. And especially non-hunters. Yeah. I think that's the one for us as hunters, we understand the reality of it. But for someone that's never experienced that, they don't. And in the modern age, whether you agree or disagree, it is what we live in. And it's interesting because I think some of our views, they're very, like always, they're very biased and they don't take into account other people's perspectives. Whether you agree or disagree with their perspective, you've still got to think about their perspective. And I know sometimes hunters feel that our perspective isn't viewed, and I get that, but you don't attract bees with vinegar. You've got to think about what we're doing. What is the long-term objectives and goals? And is that post worth it? Is it going to get yourself in trouble? Is it going to bring about the hunting community into disrepute? These are the things we need to be thinking before posting to try and get clicks, make a name for ourselves, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and especially now, the rut's coming up. Everyone's going to be showing their grip and grins, showing their mates, everything like that. Hopefully everyone gets on and gets stuck into them, and that's great. And if that's the case, good on yous. But obviously just make sure that the picture you take is respectful somewhat. Like so many people that I see take photos of their kills, they will have either the deer's head tucked in underneath behind its flank when they're taking a photo of it lying down, when they're sitting behind it, sorry. So that way it looks more respectable. There's not a lot of blood everywhere. Like everything's cleaned up and everything looks a lot more respectable. So the fact of, okay, yeah, they've harvested an animal, well done, congratulations. And it looks like it's a picture you'd show your grandma. Because she doesn't need to see the bulging eyes, the tongue hanging out, or the blood everywhere. She doesn't need to see all that. She just needs to see that you actually achieve what you set out to achieve. And yeah, they'd be happy for you either way. They'd be happy for you. But that's more respectable, and that's that going out into the wider world wouldn't be frowned upon then, or as much, I suppose.
You make good points there. And the other thing we've discussed off air is that you made a really good point, is that just because you are in a group of hunters on Facebook doesn't mean that hasn't been infiltrated by non-hunters who are looking for things to use against you. It is super easy to screenshot. It is really easy to video record your screen.
Mhm.
They're super simple stuff. So just because you think it's a safe place, and look, as the admin of the Fallow Deer Hunters of Australia page, we got 30,000 people. Now, I am not daft enough to think that all 30,000 people are all hunters, that there are hunters in Australia. I know there's hunters from all over the world, and that's fine, because if they come to Australia to hunt, you beauty. But there's also probably quite a lot of people in there posing as hunters, because it's not hard to get past the questions. A quick
Yep.
Google search, or especially nowadays with AI, you can answer the questions very, very easily. You don't need
Definitely.
background knowledge. So we're not somebody that, we're tricking people. It's there to stop bots, essentially, not so much people. You've got to think about, what am I throwing up here? And is that going to be used as ammunition? That's something to also be very careful of.
Oh, most definitely. You don't want the wrong message going out there, especially this time of year. Everyone's going to be, catching up with mates, hopefully getting out there, getting amongst it, getting themselves some meat, getting themselves ahead, whatever they're out there chasing. Like, it should be, yes, it's going to be a time for celebration, and yes, it'll be time to take photos and take memories of that time. In the same line, though, you want to make sure that you are taking correct photos and that we're portraying ourselves as good people. Like, oh, week before, went out to the shark fish,
Yep, nice.
and went out to the shark fish, and came back to the car, and there was a lady there. She was camping in her van. Anyway, she came and said g'day. I said hello back, obviously, and then we had a conversation about shark fishing, because she said, "How'd you go?" I said, "Oh no, we got one, and we had to put it back because it was too big to take." And then she said, "Why the fascination with shark fishing?" And I'm like, "Well, it's great fun. I think it's great fun, and we also get a good meal out of it if we get the right size fish." And so I explained to her, like, the bigger the fish, the more mercury they have in there. So you want to have something between, something 5 foot and less. I feel is a very safe size to have, and to keep it for a feed. And that one fish will feed, the family for about 30 meals. A fish that big. So explained to her how that worked really well for the family, how much I enjoyed it, and had a really good in-depth conversation to her about harvesting my own protein, not only for me but for my family, and she understood that. And it was really good just to talk to someone with an open mind, and for her to be able to relate and go, okay, I can see why you do it. I can see, yeah, why what the attraction is to go out and harvest your own protein is like. So yeah, it really is all about being respectful. I think it's just be respectful in everything you do, and I don't think anyone will have a qualm about it. To the truth.
I think that's the difference, though, is this is where social media is a bit of that trap, is that when you're throwing it out there, you're throwing it out to an unknown audience of both sides. The algorithms are designed to, promote your sort of little echo chamber, but also to get illicit responses, whether it be good or bad. So it could flood into the people that don't want to see that, and they get angered or triggered by it. And
Yeah.
I think it's important to think about that, because it's not like you just said. You made some really good points. There was that dialogue. There was that conversation about why you're doing it, so that it was way more palatable than that lady seeing a picture of you standing next to a shark with a big grin and a thumbs up, because she doesn't
Correct.
see the backstory. She doesn't hear
Yeah.
about that you're going to use that to feed your family. She's not going to hear about that you're, getting 30 meals out of it. She's just seeing the photo. And then if it's not a nice photo, and if it's covered in blood, tongues hanging out, etc., that makes it even probably worse. And if it's just the photo without any context or any backstory or any it turned into this, then there's that connotation of, oh, you're just, whether we like it or not, the idea of trophy hunting for a lot of people is not something that they like to hear about. And whether you say that's been a hit piece from the mainstream media or whatever, that's fine. And if you're a hunter, you probably understand the benefits of trophy hunting. However, again, we need to start being, I think, mindful of the broader community and the grey area, as I sort of call it, because they're not pro hunting, they're not against hunting. And they can be swayed either way. If we're not careful, it could be the opposite way by not being smart about what we actually do. And there's a lot on social media that I see the swaying in the wrong the wrong way for us.
Yeah, most definitely. And so what you can do, you can take different routes in promoting what we do in hunting and, sourcing around protein, things like that, by being out there when you are going to a state forest, for instance, going to the local pub and having a meal, put your Blaze orange hat on and walk into the pub and order yourself a steak and chips and salad, sit down, have a schooner, and, obviously people are going to talk. What are you doing here? What are you up to? Yep, just going to state forest, trying to hunt, trying to get myself animal, yada, 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 and start that conversation off that way, and that puts you in a much better limelight. All I'm trying to say is try to spread yourself around when you are going and traveling through towns, because people do notice. People do notice that you're going around spending money in the town, and some towns are dying out there that are next to our state forests. So the more money and time we spend when we go past there, the better it is that we look, because you can't tell the difference between, say, a hike, someone going hiking and someone going gold panning or fossicking. Like they wear the exact same clothes, pretty much. But you can tell a hunter because he's got his orange cap on, or he's got his camo shirt on, or he's got some sort of identification that makes him a hunter. So therefore, when you walk into the shops, people have no doubt as to what your intention is. But obviously, you're approachable, you're respectful, and everything like that. And I feel like there's how we're going to win over people, just by having a dialogue and just being seen as being good people, which we all are.
Well, I think that's where, two things there. If you're going into local communities, it's a good idea to do that. I'm disappointed you didn't tell people about the range of shirts that I have available on our shop, and that, please feel free to wear an Australian Hunting and Beyond shirt or any of the other designs I've got there that identify you as a hunter. I would much appreciate that. But you touched on something I really agree with, in the sense that times are tough at the moment, where, the standard of living, we are probably one of the worst for OECD countries in the world, which is basically first world countries. We are at minus 8.3. We've got the lowest wage growth. People are doing it financially tough out there. And I think that's something that if you can spend the money, do so. And these communities will benefit, and they'll see who's doing it too. So to make that known. And look, I'm feeling the pinch. I'll be honest. I have my rule is that I buy a firearm a year. I haven't bought one this year. And I literally had to make the choice between the podcast and doing this or a firearm. And
does your wife know about this rule?
Yeah, she does, because money wise, it's not cheap to actually record all these and pay for that, and then the rest of it.
It's not.
And I'm sacrificing buying firearms for the podcast, and that's not great. I'm not going to lie. I sort of sit there and go, zero sponsors, zero money. I run this at a complete loss. And it's impacting me buying things that I like. That's never a nice thing. And so I can see what everybody else in these local country towns are battling with, and everyone else in the broader community at the moment. So if there are opportunities to make it known that hunters are in the area and supporting these communities that are in need, that, tourism's tourism, that is an absolute win. I think that's an absolute great idea. It can only benefit hunters as long as it's done well. If you're going in there and you're yahooing and you're, speeding around town and carrying on, then we have an issue. But if you're going in, you're being super respectful, so that people know that you are that sort of person and it's pushing hunting in a light, that's a really good win.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Like, there's nothing wrong if you're going away hunting for a week. Nothing wrong with midweek jumping in, going straight to the pub, having a cooked meal, and maybe even saying to them how much to go and have a shower or something like that. How much to go and clean up. You can easily do that when you go into town, and people will notice you, and that's the important thing. People do notice. People will talk about it because it's a small town. That's what they do. They talk about it.
And you don't know where that will lead. It could lead to getting access to private property, which, like that would be amazing. But it might not. It might just leave a good impression for hunters, which is a win as well. So
yeah, well, that's exactly right. You never know where that next conversation is going to lead you. And you never know. Old mate sitting over there at the pub having a couple of schooners, sees you there, sees you being respectful, comes over, has a chat, introduces himself and says, yeah, I've been doing a lot of pigging in the local state forest. That's all I do. I do pigging with dogs. Great. But I've seen a heap of deer just over here. Or I've seen a heap of pigs just over here. And then, from there you go, oh, geez, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And you go and you get yourself a deer. Hey, that's even better. But the thing is, like, you were able to meet someone new and you're able to put hunters in another good bit of limelight.
Yeah, that works. I think that you mentioned pig hunters and we're talking about social media, which I think is a really nice segue into an issue that we just saw over in WA, which I have grave concerns over, because unfortunately a lot of our legal system is all about precedents. And I'm not sure if you caught it, but there was two young, maybe a couple. I don't know the full story and I don't really want to go into specifics. All I know is that the RSPCA has charged them and they're going to court on animal cruelty offences for pigging. Now, look, I, again, don't know the full extent. I don't know the full context. The only thing that I really do know is I jumped onto the RSPCA website and saw what they actually have, I guess, charged them or what is being raised. Now, I'll read that to you because I don't think you know too much about this. In relation to the dogs used to hunt the pigs, it's alleged the pair worked and encouraged the dogs to lunge, bite and attack the pigs for extended periods of time. The accused have been charged under section 19 brackets 1, 19 brackets 2E, 19 bracket 3B 2, and 193C2 out of the Animal Welfare Act 2002. It's alleged that they were cruel to the feral pigs in that they restrained and captured the pigs in order to inflict unnecessary harm on them. The accused were also charged under section 32 brackets 1 for taking part in and promoting a prohibited activity by releasing feral pigs for the purposes of enabling the feral pigs to be hunted, fought and chased by a pack of dogs. The charges will be heard in the Manjimup Magistrates Court on the 27th of June 2024. So this is a bit older, but it's only just sort of come to light again because they were fundraising for this couple. Maximum penalty is $50,000 and 5 years in prison. Again, I don't know the context. I don't know the full story. If it is what the RSPCA are describing, and again, this came from social media and the videos on social media, and that's what I want to talk about more than the actual case because I don't know the specifics. But, we've probably all seen some videos where we've gone, oh, that's bordering here of getting in there for a quick dispatch. Again, guys, like, I'm not against what hunters do. As long as we are doing things ethically and legally correct, that has to be where we're at. This doesn't sound that that's the case. I don't want to condemn them because I don't actually know, and I think that's irresponsible to do that. But I think it's the words are pretty telling from what has been written. The videos have all been taken down, but obviously were captured and are being used. This is one of the first of its kind for the RSPCA. So in my mind, I can't imagine they're putting their eggs in one basket here if they don't have a fair bit of evidence and that it's probably going to go in their way because, as I said, legalities, we talk about if there's precedent somewhere, that a lawyer will use that. That's of grave concern here, and I think most hunters should be a little concerned about this because that's a different level here we're now going to be facing about animal cruelty because, look, hunting doesn't always go to plan, but if it is for social media, for likes, for recording, and people are more concerned about that than dispatching the pig, we have a big problem. That's going to be used against us in a negative way.
And just thinking about the charges they've been laid, that was that first one there with excessive. What was it again? So
which one?
Let me read that one again. It was excessive time,
unnecessary harm on them. So they restrained and captured pigs in order to inflict unnecessary harm on them.
So if they're catching pigs, putting them in the pen, and then teaching the pups to latch onto them and things like that. Once again, that's why are we putting it on social media? It's just you're making a rod for our own back there, unfortunately.
And that's what we got out of this story. That's what we've got to take away. I don't know what happened. Again, I want to make that clear. I'm not condemning them. I don't know. I haven't seen the video footage.
Yeah, and encouraging the dog to keep getting onto the pig. The pig might have been sitting down, and they're trying to get the pig to stand up so they can grab the back leg. You don't
context.
Know what that.
Correct.
It's context. Correct. Yep. It's context. So yes, you're right. We can't. There's no use in us commenting on something. Well, I definitely cannot comment on it because I have no idea about the video. I have seen the picture of the two and the fundraising they've been doing, but not knowing what they've been charged for and everything like that. And so, yeah, it's once again, just have a think in your head. Is it respectful? Is it something that the broader community needs to look at and see? Really?
And I think you also need to go a little step further and go, as a non-hunter that has zero idea what's going on, how could they possibly perceive this? Because unfortunately, the trial of of public opinion is going to be swayed with uneducated people because they don't know about hunting. So if it looks bad, then don't post it. If you're filming something, just think about what is being put out there because unfortunately hunters are not the majority in this country. And is it going to damage reputations? Is it going to do us a disservice? Even if it is perceived wrongly due to someone not understanding and knowing, that should be in our minds as well. That it shouldn't just be, nothing wrong with this. Hunters do this all the time. Okay, get that, but that's not winning us friends. That's not gaining us ground to keep doing what we love for future generations.
That's you not making your own decision. That's you following like a sheep. You should be finding out things for yourself. And definitely when it comes to the law and things like that, definitely do your own research with it. And yeah, if there's a little niggly feeling saying this might be right, you know what, it probably isn't right. So yeah, follow the law to the T. Don't make a rod for your own back. Don't put yourself in a situation where you have to defend yourself. It's quite simple. Send it to your mates. Send it to the guys that you think, the guys or girls who think, are going to really appreciate it, who are going to be happy for you, who are going to go, yeah, mate, well done. Good on you for shooting your first buck. It's been a bloody while, but good job. All that sort of stuff. Yeah, great. But in the same sense, make the photo respectful and make it so that it's to everyone's taste, not just hunters.
Where did we get to? How did we get to this point? I always like to reflect and see what's happened over time. And where did we get to the stage where everything has to be on social media, as a society, that it's not even reality anymore, that, people, I've seen them in the restaurants. You go out for a restaurant, you've got 5 people there, they order one plate at an expensive restaurant, and they all film it for their social media, and then they all get a mouthful and that's it, trying to portray that they, live this luxury and rich life. And how did we get there that people are just not wanting to be humble and wanting to, be famous, or I don't know. It just sort of, it fascinates me. And, some might call me a bit of a hypocrite because I do this podcast, but I'd sort of reflect on that and go the opposite and say, I don't post everything on social media. I mean, my Facebook account I keep personal, and I'm sorry to all those people that add me that I don't accept if I'm not actually physically mates with you or talk on a regular basis. I'm not having you on my personal account. That's not how I roll. I'm not doing this to be famous.
That's right.
So I don't get it. I really struggle with that because I think people keep, for some reason, we've got in this space with social media that everyone's trying to outdo everyone or get the most clicks and likes and subscriptions and all that. And it's at the detriment of our core values sometimes. And it's, let's push the parcel.
In the same respect, like, people put so much stuff out on social media and just say, look at me, 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 to the point where people just go, oh, this guy, I'm just going to block him. I'm just going to block him. I just don't want to see him anymore. I don't want to deal with it anymore. So you block them and you get rid of them. And then it's like, yeah, it's out of your mind. So if you don't like it, scroll past it. In the same sense, you don't have to post up everybody. Like, how many times do I post a picture in our group of me, having a fish in the morning? And I don't put any message or anything with it. I just take a picture of me fishing. And then the reactions. That's what I live for. I live for the reactions. Everyone's driving on the M5. Everyone's going to work. Frank, do you have a job? What are you doing, Frank? Like, who's looking after the kids? All this sort of stuff. So, but that's between mates. That's between friends. That's not out in the whole world, because that would paint a bad picture. That would paint something that's not really a reality.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. I think that's where we're getting ourselves in trouble. And that's why, I think the episode title is probably going to be social media is going to be the death of hunting, or something to that effect, because I actually really feel that's where we're at. I feel the more that we get on there and post, and it just gets taken the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I don't think
there is some good stuff that can come out of it. There is some good stuff that can come out of it. Like I think I sent you the post. I think it was the Victorian Duck Hunters page. I think it was. And kudos to these guys. Like, yeah, if I ever mention the pub, I'll buy you a beer. But there were
no, he won't. I've never had a beer from him.
You've never had a beer?
You've never shouted me a beer.
Well, that's because I shouted my mates a beer. So. Moving on. These guys, there's a photo. This one gentleman took a selfie, and behind him there was a stretcher, and the caption read that there was a activist who passed out in the heat of the day or something like that, wasn't too well, and they were carrying them out of the wetlands in a stretcher. And so these hunters jumped in and grabbed the front of the stretcher and helped them carry the stretcher of this anti-hunter. They helped this anti-hunter and carried them out to help. Like, fantastic.
Now, that is where social media posts and press should be at.
I agree.
That is what we should be sharing, and that is a 10 times better photo than the most respectable lineup of ducks that you could ever have. That speaks absolute volumes, and well done to those lads that did it, because that will win over so many more people than a nice photo of ducks and even what you cook the duck up as. That is just, someone out there who is, doing the wrong thing, being an activist against what we do, and them still going, you know what, this is still a person at the core. Whether you agree with my beliefs or whatever it is, we're going to put that aside to make sure that you're given care. That's brilliant. I absolutely love it. And I saw that story and I reacted to it because I just think it's amazing. And it's just, that's the stuff that should be posted, not every single animal that you've shot as well. And look, if you want to do it, by all means, like I'm not trying to lecture, and I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm just trying to say, let's talk about a subject that is probably something that's going to impact us. And there are ways you can do it better. There are ways you can do it really badly. And there are some
Yes,
things
definitely.
that are even better than posting that. Like those blokes probably had more likes about that image than any duck hunting photo they've ever previously posted. And if they
I reckon so.
haven't, we have a bigger issue.
I reckon they would have. I reckon that story would have been shared so many times.
Oh, it's brilliant.
That seeing that, like, that was great. That was, yeah. Whoever these couple of guys are, well done. You bunch of legends. It was fantastic to see, and they're wearing the camo get up and their long gun boots and everything like that, and just seeing the activists behind them, with the high vis vest on and the rainbow flags and whatever else was hanging out the back there. They just it was and yeah, and they were helping them come out of that situation. I thought that was just fantastic. That portrays us in such a good light, and there should be more of that. There should be absolutely more of that. Like, they'll talk about that for a while yet. They'll talk about the guys that come into the pub and spent the money. The guys wearing the big orange hats. What are they wearing orange hats for? Why are they wearing orange hats? Why are they wearing orange? Why are they wearing orange hats? Yeah. Anyway,
I also think that people need to understand that sometimes activists are just into activism. Like, it's not even the actual topic that they might not even know. Like, let's look at the States for a sec and look at what's going on with them targeting Teslas every 5 seconds and, burning them, telling people to return them, damaging them. These people were probably the same ones that were, doing climate change activism. And all of a sudden that's gone out the window because they don't agree with, Elon Musk's political bias or standpoint, which has changed, mind you, because he was once a Democrat, so he switched to Republicans.
Yep.
And that now the activism is all about let's destroy Tesla, don't buy Teslas, burn them down, damage them. The shop fronts are being set on fire. Like, you sort of sit there and just go, are these the same people that were complaining about the January 6th riots? Are these the same people that care for the environment and say that the other side's damaging it? I think some people just like drama. I think some people are going to be activists for whatever is popular or trending at the time. And I think it's also, again, it comes down to social media. People want to film, we're doing this. I'm fighting the good fight no matter what it is and what their actual true belief is. I think they're very wishy-washy, a lot of people, regarding this stuff.
Yeah, no, 110% agree. I just can't. Just keep thinking about my dad, God rest his soul, and he once said to me, and I will never forget when he told me this, but I remember him saying to me, "Some people are not happy until they're unhappy."
Yep, I'd agree.
And that makes total sense. It's just so much easier for people to hate rather than to accept. So anyway, we'll leave that there. But yeah, anyway,
I mean, that's a really good comment because that ties into a lot of comments I see on social media. Like, there are a lot of things that go up, including some of the things we've discussed tonight, and just scroll on. I don't need to
just move on with
life.
I
don't need to engage in this debate or say a comment that's going to upset the person that put it out there. I'm not trying to have an internet battle with anybody. Yeah. You can have a different opinion to me, and I actually don't mind people having different opinions. I actually like to talk to people with different opinions to unpack my own thoughts, because I am not, something I try and pride myself is not being concrete and being very flexible in my own thought process. And when I'm presented with new information, that it might change my mind. I think that's a key to intelligence personally, that if you can't see a viewpoint or even consider other information, that's a big problem, because everything seems to change and is dynamic, and we get new information on everything all the time. And once was, gospel is then flipped and is now no longer gospel. So I think it's funny. And again, social media, like we talk about the divide in hunting, that is generally, I think, a lot of the time because people just can't scroll past it. If you don't like someone, you don't have to be friends with them. Let's be clear. Like, if you really don't like someone, you don't like what they stand for, End it. End the relationship. Move on. Block them. Whatever. Like, I've done it. If there's people I don't like, I don't have them in my life. It's really simple to do. I don't lose any sleep over it. I don't argue. I don't need the dramas.
This is it. Life's too short for that sort of stuff.
100%.
Look, playing devil's advocate here, sometimes you need to be a good advocate and be a good ambassador of the sport. And, I'm just thinking about a post a friend of mine put up on Facebook about Cecil the Lion. I don't want to bring that back to the forefront, but anyway, he posted about Cecil the Lion, and so I just probably messaged him and just had a chat to him and just said to him, look, this animal's actually done a lot of good for other animals, for other endangered animals. Like the money that this person has paid to harvest this animal is just absolutely astronomical, and it's paid. And like if you were to read about this, you'll be able to see that it's actually paid for another 4 full-time security guards for the white rhinoceros that these people have on their property. Like, all rhinoceroses aren't wild anymore; they're all in captivity over there in Africa. So, like, they need to have guardsmen on them 24/7 to stop poaching. Like, the harvesting of that one animal paid for 4 guardsmen to watch that animal for, I think it was for 2 years. Like, tell me that doesn't equal conservation.
No, it does.
So I don't know. Yeah, you got to look more into it. You can't just take it on face value. Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And once I explained that to him, he's like, "Oh, I see what you're saying, Frank. I appreciate you talking to me about it," because he knew how close hunting was to my heart, and so it's even to his brother's heart as well. So just having that chat with him and going, "No, hold on. I can see that you're just getting angry at a photo, but this is what you really need to be looking at. Just not looking at the photo, but realizing what the end picture is, so to speak."
I think the big problem with all that is that doesn't go viral. It doesn't get the likes. People just plodding away, doing the good thing and not going crazy, pushing the boundaries doesn't get the notoriety. And there's that saying, and I've seen plenty of hunters using it lately, any press is good press. No, that is unfortunately not the case. It might help you as an individual get some more likes or bring you into some sort of, fame status, but that is actually probably the opposite, and it's damaging the hunting community.
Yeah, most definitely. Especially when you start to bring egos and stuff into it. It's most definitely damages what we try to do in this community. So yeah, it's all a bit depressing sometimes, Matt, to the truth, when you start to really think about it.
Unfortunately, I would agree with you. And I think that's why, all I can say, and I think it's a really good one to wrap this up, is to say social media is, please think twice. Think what is going out there, and don't just think of it from a hunting context. Have a broader mindset and think about it from other aspects. So, Frankie, pleasure. All right, guys. We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
You've been listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt. Thanks for tuning in, and can't wait to catch you next time. But in the meantime, if you want more, you can find it at linktr.ee/Australian Hunting and Beyonds. That will give you our YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, you name it. We'll catch you next time.